everyone, today we are going to be making these cute Valentine's-y colored striped fringe earrings. All the beads I'm using today are 11-aught Czech Preciosa beads, and the colors I have are this pink luster, a bright red, and a burgundy red. We're also going to need 2 French hook ear wires and a pair of wire guards. I'm going to be using this really pretty burgundy polyester thread that's conditioned with beeswax. And I've got about 2 arms length of it threaded onto my big eye needle. You're also going to need a sharp pair of scissors and a pair of needle nose pliers. So the first thing I'm going to do is pick up 2 of my pink beads. I'm going to pull them down until I just have a few inches for a tail, and then I'm going to tie a knot around the 2 beads. I'm going to double knot it to make sure it's extra secure, and then we have our beads laying side to side like this. Next, I'm going to grab 1 bright red bead and I'm going to ladder stitch it on by going down through the pink bead on the left. And then we're going to go back up through the red bead we just put on. I'm going to grab another red bead and ladder stitch that on also. So I go up through the red bead we stitched on previously and then back down through the red bead that we just put on. And I'm going to keep ladder stitching on 1 bead at a time in the same way, so my next bead is going to be a burgundy bead. And then I'm going to put on a second burgundy bead. And then we start our color pattern over, so I'll get another 2 pink beads stitched on, another 2 red beads stitched on, and then another 2 burgundy beads stitched on, and that will leave us with 12 beads across. And so it should end up looking a little bit like this, and now I am going to turn my work so that the tail is on the left side pointing downward. We are going to start off our second row, and it's going to be brick stitch. So I'm going to pick up a burgundy bead and a red bead, and I'm going to go through the second thread bridge from the right. I will go up through the red bead, down through the burgundy bead, and then back up through the red bead again. Now I'm going to pick up another red bead and go through the next thread bridge, and then back up through that same bead. And we continue sticking on single beads with brick stitch until the end of the row. So the next bead we will put on is a pink bead, and then we will put on another pink bead, and then we'll stitch on 2 burgundy beads, 2 red beads, and another 2 pink beads. So that when we get to the end of this brick stitch row, we'll have 11 beads across. And now it looks a little something like this. Now for the next row, we're going to be working from left to right. So I'm going to pick up 2 pink luster beads and go through the second thread bridge from the left. Then we're going to go up through the bead on the right, down through the bead on the left, and up through the bead on the right again. And then brick stitching on single beads for the rest of the row. Our next bead is going to be a red bead. And following the previous pattern, you can see we need 1 more red bead, which will be followed by 2 burgundy beads, 2 pink beads, and 2 red beads again. And now that we're at the end of the third row, you can really clearly see where the pattern is going. All of our stripes are going up to the right. So our next row is going to be started by picking up a red and a pink bead, and we'll keep adding beads in the same way until we get up to the top of our triangle, and the top row will only be 2 beads across. At which point I will be adding my wire guard. I'm going to pinch this one closed just a little bit so that it's the exact same width as my top 2 beads. I'm going to go up through one leg, down through the other, around the 2 beads beneath it, and then back around the wire guard. So that leaves me coming down out of the top leftmost pink bead. I'm going to go down through the leftmost pink bead to the row underneath of that, up through the bead to the right of it, and then I'm going to go all the way down the rightmost bead of the rest of the right hand side, which will leave us coming out of the bottom rightmost bead. Our first fringe is going to have 1 burgundy bead, 4 pink beads, 4 red beads, 4 burgundy beads, 4 pink beads, 4 red beads, and 4 burgundy beads, which brings us to a total of 25 beads going on this first fringe. So I'm going to skip the bottom bead and go all the way back up through the next 25 beads. And as usual, I like to smack it around a little bit to make sure the fringe is not too tight. Then we're going to go down through the bead to the left of us. And each fringe is going to have 2 additional beads from the last fringe. So I'm adding 2 additional burgundy beads first, and then repeating the same pattern from the fringe that I just put on. And as before, I'm going to skip the bottom bead and go up through the next 27 beads. Fringe number 3 is going to add 1 red bead, 1 burgundy bead, and then repeat the pattern from the previous fringe. Fringe number 4 will add 2 red beads and then the previous fringe. Fringe number 5 will add 1 pink bead and 1 red bead and then the previous fringe. Fringe number 6 will add 2 pink beads and the previous fringe. Fringe number 7 will add a burgundy bead, a pink bead, and the previous fringe. Number 8 will add 2 burgundy beads and the previous fringe. Number 9 will add 1 red bead and 1 burgundy bead and the previous fringe. For 10, we'll add 2 red beads and the previous fringe. For 11, we'll add 1 pink bead, 1 red bead, and the previous fringe. And then for fringe number 12, we'll add 2 pink beads and the previous fringe. And once I go back up this last fringe, my working thread and my tail thread will be coming out of the same spot, and I can tie them together in a triple knot. I like to do 2 loose overhand knots and then a third really tight overhand knot to make sure that I'm not tightening up my fringes on accident. And then I'm going to work both of my ends down through this last fringe a little ways before I snip them off. And now that the fringy bit is done, we are ready to put on our ear wire. So I'm going to grab one of my French hooks and open it up with my needle nose pliers. Slide my wire guard on there and close it right back up. And there you have your little striped pair of French earrings, and I think they're pretty cute because when you put them next to each other side by side, they sort of make this little rough heart shape. So it feels really fun and Valentine's-y, but it's not so Valentine's-y that you can't wear it throughout the rest of the year. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this tutorial and want to see more like it, don't forget to throw me a morsel of a subscribe, a crumb of a like, or a tasty tidbit of a comment. And if you really want to support this channel, you can go to my website where you can find all the finished pieces of jewelry that I feature here for sale. Or you can download the patterns for these items and you don't have to sit here and listen to me blabber on every time you want to make it. I will leave links in the description box. Okay, bye!